let me start off by saying that my view on this specific topic, which is the creative's dilemma, is basically, like I said before in the quote or in the thumbnail, the hedgehog's dilemma. Now I can read you off what the hedgehog dilemma, generally speaking, is the hedgehog dilemma is a metaphor for the human struggle with intimacy, where the desire for close relationships, warmth, causes emotional pain, pricking, due to personal flaws or incompatibilities. And I think that we as creatives, we want to give the world who we are, but sometimes in who we are, we cast out the world, if that makes any sense. Because we want to stand on, be loud and be proud of who we are as creatives, you know what I mean? As creative people. But sometimes it's a balance. It's a balance. I'm still trying to learn this shit at my old age of 30 plus years old. You know what I mean? Like, I'm still trying to learn this shit. I find solitude in the peace that I have by being alone. But at the same time, I would love to have a companion. But at the same time, I'm not tripping about it just yet. I'm not right now. I'm not tripping about it. I don't think I'm in the season where it's like at the priority right now. I'm trying to figure out, how do I garner enough eyes on my art and my creative work and even just my dialogue, you know what I mean, with the camera, my views on the world, to be able to understand who I am as an artist. But at the same time, don't get too comfortable, bitch. Bitch, don't get too comfortable. You feel me? Like, don't be out here, you know what I mean? But yeah, that's the creative's dilemma. That's the fucking artistic fucking dilemma. That's the hedgehog's dilemma, for lack of better words. But yeah, that's just my views on it. I wanted to just state where this video will be going. The author is the author behind the book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. And it is a subtle art because you do technically have to care, but at the same time not care, if that makes any sense. And that's the creative dilemma. That's why I kind of really fuck with this man's book. And I didn't even know he made a YouTube maybe within COVID times, and I've been following him ever since. So we're gonna go into the video. I'm gonna stop yapping. All right, so this is basically author, one of the best-selling authors. I'll let you look him up, Mark Manson. Basically, he has a potty mouth for a good book that he sold. But I watch a lot of his videos. I've been watching some of his videos off and on throughout the last 3 years. He's really one of those YouTubers that he's not even a YouTuber, he's an author. Let's just keep it a buck. Let me put some respect on his name. He's an author. You feel me? And then when he came into the YouTube, he just did what he does in the books. Give it to you fucking straight. But I wanted to watch this, and I wanted to watch it with y'all, to be honest with you. The best thing about you is also the worst thing. Now, we're going to watch a little bit of this. I want y'all to watch the rest of it. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but I already know that he's going to give you fucking gems in the first fucking 10 minutes, because that's just how he gets down.
My grades were terrible. My room was
Let me see.
When I was 15 years old, my grades were terrible. My room was a mess, I stayed up all night playing video games, and I slept through half my classes. That year, I was diagnosed with ADHD and put on medication. And it worked. My grades went up, my room got clean, the video games turned off, and I could sit through an entire class without my brain wandering off to some random thought about whether fish get thirsty or what would happen if gravity reversed for exactly 1 second. But something...
Remember how we were just talking about AI? Even with the B-roll, I heard that even with the B-roll, you got to be careful with certain B-rolls. If everybody's using the same B-roll, then everybody can be, like, most of those channels could be struck down. Struck down. Like a goofy ass.
Something else happened too, which is that my interests narrowed, my social life quieted. I became quite functional, productive, and completely uninterested in most things that I used to be interested in. I just figured that this is what growing up was. Yeah. Trading spontaneity for grades, the messiness for metrics.
Yeah.
But then one day, one of my teachers pulled me aside. He asked me about my ADHD meds and how I was feeling. I thought I was fine, but he wasn't satisfied.
Yeah.
He said, "Look, Mark, it's great that you're making an A in my class, but you're not the same. You've lost your sense of humor, your creativity, your funny and weird perspectives. And I didn't know what to say. I just kind of sat there blankly nodding at him because he was right. But then he asked me a question that I'd never considered before. Are you sure this is worth it?
That's a good question. Now, I don't want to self-diagnose myself, but if y'all can see, I do art. I'm kind of a creative person. If you don't know, let me see. If you don't know, I'm kind of a creative person. I kind of like a lot of colors and a lot of shape language. I clearly I love black women. I don't know when it comes to my thoughts on being medicated with being able to sit down and focus on my art or focus on whatever I need to focus on. I don't know if it'll have me in his shoes at the age that he was and be entirely different human being. I'm scared to go to the doctor because of that, to be honest with you. I'm gonna just keep it a buck. I'm scared to go to the doctor because I don't want to lose the ability to do and think like these type of things. I appreciate it even if the world doesn't appreciate it, if that makes any sense. I'm low-key scared even thinking about the thought of going to the doctor to like erase that part of me.
That question and that teacher ended up changing my life, but it's taken me over 2 decades to figure out why. In this video, I'm going to talk about why ADHD may actually be the best thing that ever happened to me. I'm going to talk about how our biggest handicaps are often also secretly our biggest strengths. We'll look at why society quietly tries to prevent us from being exceptional, and whether the goal in any situation should be fixing yourself or simply learning to manage who you already are.
Edward Scissorhands was my mother's favorite fucking movie. I used to watch that every fucking Christmas. And if you don't know, that's Johnny Depp. He didn't say a word, didn't say a peep, but he played the fuck out of that role. Weird ass fucking role, bro. It's like, who made that shit? I want to know who made that shit. I need to, probably some type of book that just basically became famous. But it's like he just snip. Like Edward Scissorhands was one of them. If you know, you know.
This one's gonna get a little bit deep and very personal, so get ready. But first, let's talk about washing your hands.
What? The best and the worst of us.
It's Vienna, 1847. Women are dying. 1 in 6 mothers who deliver babies at the doctor's ward.
Guess why they were fucking dying, y'all? Guess why they were dying? I'm sure the women know. I'm sure women know. Like, Jesus
in the Vienna
Christ.
General Hospital are dead within days. And worse, the death is horrific. They called it childbed fever, and no one could explain what was wrong. That's just the way it is, people said. This is just what happens sometimes. But here's what made Vienna strange. There happened to be a second maternity ward in the same hospital. Except instead of staffed by doctors, this second ward was staffed by midwives. And what was even weirder, in the second ward, the mothers rarely died. Word got around, and women would scream and beg to be admitted to the midwives' ward instead of the doctor's ward. Some even opted to give birth in the street rather than be treated by the doctors in the hospital. Until a Hungarian doctor by the name of Ignace Semmelweis arrived. Ignace was stubborn, disagreeable, combative, obsessive about details that everyone else found tedious. He immediately annoyed the other doctors. These traits often made him difficult to work
OCD
with,
type shit.
but they also helped him figure out the mystery of the dying mothers.
Yeah.
He started by tracking data, something that no one else did at the time. He ran through every possible variable. Women in the midwives' ward gave birth on their sides. Women in the doctor's ward gave birth on their backs. So he changed the positions. No effect. Then his friend died. A colleague named Jacob Kolechka nicked himself with a scalpel during an autopsy. Within days, he developed the same symptoms as the women dying of childbed fever. Same progression, same horrific death. And then something clicked for Semmelweis.
Exactly.
Medical students started their mornings in the autopsy room, cutting open the women who had died the day before. Then they walked directly into the maternity ward to deliver babies. They didn't stop and wash their hands because nobody understood what germs were yet. Nobody thought they needed to. Midwives didn't do autopsies. Midwives weren't carrying death from one patient to the next.
Exactly.
Semmelweis instituted a very simple protocol. Stop and wash your hands in chlorinated lime solution before touching any patient. Within months, the death rate from the doctor's ward dropped from 18% to under 2%. He had solved it. And then his life completely fell apart.
What?
The medical establishment at the time rejected his findings.
Wow.
They were, well, offended. The idea that doctors, educated, elite gentlemen of science, were killing their patients with their own bare hands.
Yeah.
This was unthinkable. A mockery. They dismissed his data outright. And here's where Semmelweis's gift became his curse. The same stubbornness that let him see what others couldn't, it made him incapable of diplomacy. He refused to publish his findings for 13 years because he thought it was self-evident. When he finally did write a book, it was so rambling and paranoid.
Yo, he said, fuck y'all. Y'all not gonna get the keys. He said, y'all not gonna get the keys, dog. That's funny as hell, bruh. He said, y'all not even gonna get my fucking jewels, nigga. I'm trying to give it to y'all, but y'all so fucking dumb. That is crazy. This is deeper story because I usually just heard that the surface level shit where it's just basically that the doctors didn't wash their hands. I didn't hear about the actual doctor himself not actually giving them the book and then later on down the line giving them the book. That's funny as hell.
Capable of diplomacy. He refused to publish his findings for 13 years because he thought it was self-evident. When he finally did write a book, it was so rambling and paranoid, nobody wanted to read it. He wrote open letters to his colleagues, publicly calling them murderers. He made so many enemies that he was kicked out of the hospital and tricked into checking into a mental institution. And then when he realized what was happening, he tried to escape. The guards beat him, put him in a straitjacket, and locked him in a cell.
Damn.
2 weeks later, Ignaz Semmelweis was dead. The cause? An infected wound on his hand. He died because the doctors who treated him had not washed their hands.
And this is the artist's dilemma. Let me make sure you see me when I say this shit. This is the artist's dilemma. The reason why I say that is because you don't want to put out that fucking artwork. You don't want to put out that piece. You don't want to put out that music. You don't want to put out that fucking book. You don't want to put that shit out. Somebody else tapped in the same wavelength or something, tapped in the same type of wavelength, not exactly the same, but somewhat of a offset of what you fucking do. 5 to 10 years later, sometimes less than that, they come out with your shit. This is crazy, bruh. The doctors didn't fucking wash their hands because of his artistic nature of fuck y'all. Like, and I get it, as artists we want to be like fuck y'all, you know what I mean? You should have just listened to us. But it's like we also got to know how to move in a world that don't get us, dog. That's the artist dilemma, because we have to be able to, like, if he would have just basically been able to tell these people, hey, I know you don't believe me now, but I'm gonna let y'all know. He said he waited 10 plus years, almost a decade, before he put out the book. And by the time he did that, it was already jumbled. It was like a whole bunch of hoopla because he'd been holding that in his chest. Let it out, artists. Let that shit out. Let that shit out, bro. Because then he says that the doctors literally cut him with dirty hands. They cut him with dirty hands. And he dies with the same diseases, probably, same bacteria that he saved the wives. I mean, saved the pregnancy, the women that were pregnant. That's crazy to me.
The story of Semmelweis illustrates something that I think about often. The best thing about a person is also usually the worst thing.
Damn. That's, again, he be just dropping gems for no reason. Let me go back. I'm looking at it with y'all. I'm looking at it by myself. I'm sorry. Jesus.
He made so many enemies that he was kicked out of the hospital and tricked into checking into a mental institution. And then when he realized what was happening, he tried to escape. The guards beat him, put him in a straitjacket, and locked him in a cell. 2 weeks later, Ignas Semmelweis was dead. The cause? An infected wound on his hand. He died because the doctors who treated him had not washed their hands. The story of Semmelweis illustrates something that I think about often. The best thing about a person is also usually the worst thing. Semmelweis discovered what would later be understood as germ theory because he was stubborn, disagreeable, and detail obsessed.
OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, damn near. Like,
those traits were not incidental to his genius, they were his genius.
Yeah, and that's why I low-key, people use OCD as a slight. I'm not gonna hold you. It's certain parts of me that be like wishing that I was OCD so I could have a better fucking clean like mentality. Like, I'm not gonna hold you. As an artist, I am a mess. I am all over the fucking place. I know my wife is gonna be tired of me. To my future baby, I love you, girl. I love you. I love you, future wifey. But yeah, like, yeah, it's you have to be when it comes to that field. Like, it's anything.
Someone more diplomatic, more willing to go along with consensus, more concerned with fitting in, likely never would have tracked the data in the first place. He never would have run so many obnoxious experiments. Yeah. He never would have kept pushing when everyone told him to stop.
Yeah.
But those same traits of genius also made it impossible for Semmelweis to spread his own discovery. His combativeness alienated the people he needed to convince.
Yeah.
And stubbornness made him incapable of strategic compromise. But really quick, this video is brought to you by Brain FM. And look, if you've got ADHD like me, you already know the struggle. You sit down to work and suddenly you're 13 pages deep researching whether octopuses dream or not. They might.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Like I said before, I'm gonna link it. That's all I'm giving to you. That's all the sauce I'm giving to you. Okay? Mark Manson is one of them, bro. He's about to hit 3 million subscribers. He's worth it. I promise you he's worth it. Go check him out. I'm gonna have the link to his page in the bottom. I watch his videos damn near on a monthly, if not every 2 months basis, because he be putting out some bangers. Just like that. That right there, tidbit facts. I love shit like that. I'm not gonna hold you. But again, check him out. The best thing about you is also the worst thing. And another reason why I put this out is because artists, let's just be honest, the best thing about us, which is our creative juices, is sometimes also the worst thing about us because of maybe how it's being expressed, how aggy we are throughout the creative process. Like I said before, the messiness with us. You know what I mean? Like the way our minds works, it's Abby normal, for lack of better words. But like I said before, check him out, Mark Manson. He, like I said before, you really do need to get his book, to be honest with you. And like that, we gone. Bun K.